Hello everyone and welcome back to Spookier, Celluloid, the channel where I talk about movies and ramble and yeah, that's where you're at, that's where your life is going. Your life is being with this fucking asshole, rambling about a movie you just saw for like 10 minutes and there's no content. Welcome. So, today I'm talking about one of my favorite directors of all time, so this is quite the intro to talk about one of my favorite directors of all time, and by one of my favorite directors of all time, I mean technically my favorite director of all time, but that's kind of a tussle between Lucio Fulci and Jess Franco. However, I own more Jess Franco movie. I think I've seen more of them at this point, and I'm known as the Franco guy, but Lucio Fulci has made some of my favorite horror films of all time, as I've talked on my main channel. My Halloween special this year was The Beyond, and I've talked about New York Ripper, which is appropriate because this film is quite similar to New York Ripper in a lot of ways, except the amount of gore and violence. So basically, this feels a lot like if a producer was like, hey, Mamma mia, Fulci, I like the New York Ripper, but we can't have that much fucking gore in there, please, Lucio, please. So what Fulci made is he decided to make a very similar feeling film, but without the gore, which makes most of the kills are off screen, and the ones that we see aren't very gore, which is weird for, you know, Fulci being the master of gore, but honestly, I didn't care that much. This feels a lot like a later slasher, even though this is more of a giallo. Well, yeah, this is pretty much just a giallo. It has a lot more in common with gialli than slashers. But this was like the mid-80s, so most people would just refer to this as a slasher instead, but it's way more in common with a giallo. And this is very similar to Michele Soave's Stage Fright, and I've also seen it compared to Opera, but I can't confirm because I haven't seen Argento's Opera, but I have seen Stage Fright, and it does have similarities in the sense that this is a slasher / giallo that is happening at a dance academy. You know, in Stage Fright, it's at a theater, and yeah, basically these girls that are dancing are picked off one by one, and our police officer, which is played by the creepy pervert from New York Ripper, you know, the one that would record his wife having sex with strangers, that's our police officer. And I have always liked him in New York Ripper, and I do really like him in this too, and he does have similarities with his character than he did with his character in New York Ripper. So it's like I said, there's a lot of similarities between those two films. Of course, one of the characters in this is a young girl that is paralyzed. Again, this is probably Fulci pulling things from his personal life, because at that point in 1984, I'm pretty sure his daughter was paralyzed from a horse riding accident, which, if you want to cry, there's the documentary that they made about Fulci, where Fulci's daughter, who passed away not long after the film was made, sadly, talks a lot about her relationship with her father and how he took her horse riding accident and put it in a lot of his films as kind of like a personal touch, and you can definitely feel that in this one as you did in New York Ripper. The only difference is that in this one, it's not the motivation for the killing, it's just a character of the film that ultimately really helps finding the killer. So I think that was kind of Fulci saying, like, it's not because my daughter's paralyzed that she can't, you know, be something great, which is kind of touching, because later on, in some of his later films, late 80s, early 90s stuff, Fulci's daughter really helped out with his productions. Anyways, so yeah, so Girls at a Dance Academy, which it's a dance academy in New York. It's very prestigious, but all they do is like aerobics 80s dancing. Which the cinematography is beautiful, and so are the ladies. And if it wasn't for the copious amount of nudity in this could almost be like a PG-13 slasher, which would be weird coming from Fulci. But Fulci made this, you know, with full of nudity. So at least there's that. Yeah, so girls get picked off, and then we have to find the killer, and then the head lady of the dancing academy has this weird dream where she sees this old actor slash model following her around and try to kill her, and then she sees him on a billboard, connects the dot, and then decides to go on this pursuit to find this man that she saw kill her in one of her dreams, which brings a very strange kind of not paranormal, but spiritual aspect of the divine and what is meant to be in this film, which is a very interesting idea, especially coming from Fulci, which, from what I know from Fulci, he wasn't a very spiritual person, let's just say that. And yeah, Murder Rock is over. Oh, and it's called Murder Rock. The girls aren't dancing to rock music. Most of the time they're dancing to like these new wave 80s pop music, which the music does slap in this. I really do like the music in this, and the dance sequences are honestly quite impressive, especially coming from somebody like Fulci, who you don't usually attach or think of when you think of dancing sequences. But yeah, this is quite fucking enjoyable. This is one of Fulci's lesser film that I've seen, but honestly, that doesn't mean much, because Fulci's lesser films are still better than a lot of other directors' lesser films. Like, this is solid. My rating for this is a solid like 7.5, so it's like almost an 8. This could go up. It's really fun. It's like an 80s giallo slasher made by Fulci, but tame. Way more tame than New York Ripper, which New York Ripper is my like second favorite Fulci film of all time. This doesn't come near as close to that. I really like the cinematography, the music, the mystery is quite interesting, and the ending was kind of it was kind of a surprise. I had guessed some things about the ending, but overall it came as a surprise. So yeah, I'd honestly recommend this one for Fulci fans who've just seen the surface level stuff and they want to dig deeper. And this really made me just want to watch the goddamn Instrument to the Pussy, Devil's Honey. I think the first time I watched Devil's Honey, I was a bit too harsh, so this reminded me of that movie and how I should really give that one another rewatch, because Devil's Honey is 80s Fulci, but not tame at all. It's 80s Fulci when he didn't give no fucks. So yeah, Murder Rock. I'd recommend it. Yeah. 7.5 might be a little too high for this. I'll change my rating to 7.25, because, you know, ratings don't fucking matter, people. I'm just saying numbers. Anyways, Jesus Christ.